welcome to this week's Cruise Chat. I'm Kathleen Penner, owner of Plenty of Sunshine Travel, and today I'm joined by Charmaine, and Charmaine is from Tauck, and this is the last time I'm going to be meeting with Charmaine. She is actually retiring at the end of the year, and I'm going to miss her terribly. If you want to go back and look at the other videos, I have them in a playlist. Go check them out, and hopefully I'll be able to meet with your successor eventually at some point as well. But for now, we're going to be talking about cruising. So over to you.
Great. Thank you, Kathleen. And truly, yes, it's been a wonderful thing through COVID. And I hope many of your listeners have found some amazing ideas to plan and to travel on, because as you and I were both saying, it was great to get back out and cruise this year. And in fact, even one of the itineraries that we'll talk a little bit about. So today we're just going to highlight a few things that are new, a few reminders of some oldies but goodies. And then to get things started, truly, I just want to, here we go. There we are. Just remind everybody about what is unique and special about Tauck, because there's lots of people out there, everybody telling you, travel with us, travel with us. And since you and I are doing this shortly after the US Thanksgiving, we've all been blitzed with Black Friday specials. One of the things I always like to share that's, I think, one of the most special things about Tauck is the peace of mind knowing that it doesn't matter with Tauck when you book, when you travel, how many trips you've done with us, whether you've booked it 2 weeks before or 1 week after the trip was released to be booked. Everybody pays the same price. So there were no Black Friday specials. There won't be any other promotions, because a lot of cruise lines are obligated, or certainly financially motivated, maybe is the better word, to fill up the ship. And so often they will have promotions at the last minute or at the very beginning, right? To kind of do those early bookings. And so you need to look at that for sure with other companies, but you do not with Tauck. However, you do have to book relatively early, because we tend to sell out.
Yes, I like that, because you know what to expect, you know what's coming, and you don't say, oh, I don't want to check it because what if it dropped and then I'm locked.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly. Or there's always that one annoying person who loves to tell everybody about the great deal he got. So at Tauck, nobody ever talks about that, because they know that everybody pays the same. And that, I think, is truly puts myself at ease. I think it will put the listeners at ease and clients. And and then it's really all about separating ourselves. So at heart, we are a land company. That's how it all started in 1925. However, what we have done over the years is recognize, based on our comment cards and our hope and trust cards that our clients fill out at the end of every trip. And they love to tell us where else they want to go. So 20, 30 years ago, we started adding more cruise itineraries. But ultimately, it's still about giving clients that experience on land, because whenever you're on a ship, you have to dock. So we're going to take really good care of you wherever that ship docks, and giving you that exclusive access, whether it's after hours in the Sistine Chapel, which we do with one of our Mediterranean cruises, or just, again, lots of on a French river cruise, they stop in Paris on the Seine, and getting into the Louvre when it's before it opens. I'm trying to remember now if it's before or after, but in any case, you're not in there with thousands of people, because as we know, the world has gotten busier. I have flown enough times this year to know that airports all over the world are packed, and which is great to see people out, getting to see friends and family, but also to see things that, I think you and I have talked about this, that time is the biggest thing we lost during COVID. And so people are quickly trying to get things on their list done that they've been wanting to do. And so I think people are booking longer trips, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But again, we love to go deeper. We've built up an incredible amount of relationships. We are getting very close to our 100th birthday. So we are now 98 years young, and it's been an exciting ride for me. As you mentioned, I am retiring, and I was there for the 90th birthday party at Lake Louise. I don't know where the 100th will be, but Joe will be part of that. So, so again, it's all about, I literally just came back from India and with Tauck. And again, it's those relationships. And when we walk into hotels, we were so warmly greeted because India, of course, only reopened in the more recent months to taking, as they called it, Westerners back into their wonderful country. So yeah, so it's all about exploring things deeper. We do a small ship itinerary to Japan, and we have an inside connection to the world of the geishas. So it's a really, again, it's all part of what we love to do and share. And ultimately, what makes the difference with Tauck is our incredible team of directors, and they look after
Personal touch.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are with you from beginning to end, regardless of the itinerary. All of our cruise programs, with the exception of one, is the Iceland one. We build and design land with it because, again, that's who we are and that's what we do best. And so the directors are with you. Most times on cruising, it's a team.
Mhm.
And with cruising, we include all of their gratuities because we want them to work as a team as opposed to individuals. So when you do a land journey with us, their gratuity isn't included, but with cruising on small ship or river, we do. And that's the difference, is because
Okay.
they are a team of them and they just bring that added. And then on top of that, some people have asked me over the years, well, but then there's no local guides, which is completely not true. So everywhere we work with a
Mhm.
team of local guides as well. And they're the directors, really the director, sort of, managing all of the luggage things or reservations for dinner or coordinating with the local guides and really just
Mhm.
taking care of all those details. I mean, my husband and I were laughing this week because it was like, we were trying to figure out what we had to do. And it was so great because for 3 weeks we didn't think. We
I
just got up
know. Yeah.
and we went. And it
Everything
was
was taken care of from
yeah, and we
sunrise
had
to
lots of
sunset.
time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And some people say to me, "Oh, I like to do things myself because I don't want to be busy all the time." We're not busy all the time. You don't have to be running here, there, and everywhere.
Mhm.
It really is about choosing how you spend your time and working with our directors to make sure that you get to see and do everything you want to do. But we don't fill every minute. We recognize that sometimes you just want to sit with a cup of coffee or a beverage of your choice and watch the world go by for a few minutes. So we do know that and we recognize that
Mhm.
wherever we go. So this is a brand new itinerary for 23, again, with our wonderful partners at Silversea. So we work with a number of cruise lines. Ponant, of course, is our main partner, and we'll talk about them. But Silversea, we're excited that we've got some new ones coming up. And this one is a fabulous way to spend the fall,
Mhm.
traveling through this beautiful part of Canada and the United States. And I always say to people, even if you've already been to Halifax, when you sail past Nova Scotia and sail into the port, it gives you a different perspective than when you are
Mhm.
just there. So this is a wonderful itinerary that sails between New York City and Quebec City, staying, of course, in the beautiful Chateau Frontenac in Quebec City. So again, it really gives you, I mean, it's just a great way to spend the fall. So
Mhm.
for anybody that's sort of not wanting to travel too far, but still get to see some places, Boston is absolutely one of my favorite cities in the world, let alone in the United States. It's just a wonderful city to see. So, and then to see it during fall colors is
Oh, right. Yes,
right.
absolutely.
Going to be
Yes.
absolutely magnificent. We'll be sailing on the Silver Sea Shadow. So there's
Oh,
just a shot of
I
it
was on
there.
that one. Yeah, that's the
There
ship
you
I was on this summer. Look at
go.
that.
Oh, excellent. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's who we'll be using for
Mhm.
that particular itinerary, and you know all about it. And so when your
Mhm. Mhm.
clients have questions, you're the expert because I have not sailed on the Shadow. I sailed on the Muse.
Yeah.
So, and then here's another itinerary that we've had for years. It kind of got rested for a bit. Obviously, the whole world did for COVID,
Mhm.
but this is another great way to see Panama Canal. Again, lots of companies do it. Here we work with Ponant. So that ship holds about 187 guests.
Okay.
Perfect way. It's a full transit of the canal. And if you look, the red means that we're traveling on land.
Mhm.
So it starts or ends in San Jose and Panama City. And again, with 2 hotel nights at each end to kind of give you a little more time in those areas, but a really great itinerary. I know a lot of people, find they want to do this, but they don't love it. They don't want to spend so much time maybe in Mexico or wherever else. It might start in Florida. So this really does just concentrate in Central America. So it's a really fabulous way to do it and a wonderful, wonderful ship.
Mhm.
brand new for 23. This had been discussed for many, many years, probably coming in at an infamous or famous time frame after the World Cup in Doha. But again, a wonderful itinerary, again, with our partners at Penant, sailing into a very this is what we really bill as not it's more of a cultural cruise, as
Okay.
opposed
Yes.
to a like the Panama, where you've got a little more of the landscape, that kind of adventure type itinerary. So guest speakers learning a little bit more about the history of this area, and certainly no shortage of things to discuss in this area, traveling between Oman and Qatar. So yeah, so brand new for next year, selling quite well, but there's probably the odd sort of stateroom still available here and there. Another one that when we launched this a few years ago, sold out really fast. Now we're finding, there's still the odd space left for 23. So for anyone, again, not wanting to travel too far, and even if you live close by, we've all probably seen the Welland Canal, but to actually be on a ship going through it is pretty
Yes, it
spectacular,
is. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I've done
And
that before
so,
with a friend of ours too. They had
oh, you
a boat
did?
that
Oh, and
went
a
through there,
little.
and it was so great. Yeah.
Right? It
Mhm.
is amazing to see these massive locks and what we can move through there. And then
Mhm.
again, as I said, with Penant and 180 guests, it really is a great way to see it. And you can start in either Chicago or Toronto. Again, keeping in mind that the red is the where we'll be traveling on a coach. But yeah, really funky kind of, spot, and you get to see some pretty amazing things. Mackinac Island is one of my favorite places. It's that beautiful little island where there are no cars allowed.
Oh,
We do
lovely.
we do a land tour there as well
Very
too. So
quaint, it seems. Yeah.
it is, and some of the best fudge, so they say,
Yes.
in the world. So yeah, that's another really great one. So again, for people maybe not wanting to travel as far by air, and Lord knows we've all had some fun with that. So this is a great one to have a look at if you're looking for something not too far away. One of my favorite places in the whole wide world is Greece and Ephesus. And
Mhm.
so we do this one actually with Windstar, and we sail around the Greek islands. We visit Monemvasia on the mainland, which I got to visit last year, is now become one of my other new favorite places. It's a very old medieval town that you can't hardly even see when you're on land. It's
Mhm.
sort of tucked in on the shore. Absolutely beautiful. And one of the highlights on this itinerary is this spectacular dinner that we do at the library in Ephesus. And you can see the photo of it there. So absolutely magical. Again, incredible history, the legends,
Mhm.
and great food. And Windstar, of course, is well known for everything. And some of the best food I've probably had at sea was on Windstar. But don't tell my friends at Silversea or Penant that I said that. Hopefully they don't watch the recording. So again, another itinerary that, we always laugh, those of us that have been around for a while. Iceland really got on the map that one year when their volcano exploded,
Yes.
or erupted, I should say. And then
Mhm.
suddenly everybody in the world wanted to go to Iceland. Still extremely popular. And that
Mhm.
absolutely,
Mhm.
more of an expedition type journey here again with Penant. And this is really our only itinerary that we cruise with where we don't have any hotel land stays. So it really is a full cruise.
Mhm.
We do have a day room that we use at the hotel near the end, but yeah, absolutely just a wonderful way to see this spectacular um, photographer's dream. Oh Lord,
Yes,
I'll
yes.
I'll be all right,
And you
Mike.
get to go above the Arctic Circle as well, I
Yeah,
see, which is such a big
yeah.
thing for
Right.
people. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we had an itinerary years ago that went up to Spitsbergen, and I
Mhm.
do hope we'll bring that back because that also crossed the Arctic Circle.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
so we'll see if they bring that one back. We're forever looking, and again, depending on itineraries and dates with our different partners and where our clients are looking to go. So we always try to be a little ahead of the curve. So
Mhm.
here's the Alaska Inside Passage, which we
Yeah.
both did right
Yes,
this year.
we did.
And
Yes.
isn't that interesting? And I'd
Mhm.
never been. So it was absolutely one of those destinations that everybody raves about. And then
Mhm.
when you go, you totally get it. And I
Yeah.
mean, right. And I have spent, many times on the West Coast. I've been to Vancouver Island at the North End and the South End.
Mhm.
But really, when you go to Alaska and you start up there in the Hubbard Glacier,
Yes.
it and it was a very misty day we went, very foggy, but it was
Mhm.
still, when it comes into view, oh my gosh, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah, I ended up doing two
spectacular.
cruises, almost back to back there, just two different cruise lines.
Ah.
And the Hubbard Glacier, the second time when I was with my daughter, as we're going, they were like, "Oh, this is terrible. It was so foggy. You couldn't even see a hand in front of your face." And
Mm.
as we're going up, the fog was just lifting, and we had the
Oh,
best
wonderful.
experience at the end.
Oh, I'm
And
so
we
happy
got
to hear that.
so close, and you could just hear the calving. It's a sound you
Right?
have to experience. And
You do.
oh, I loved Alaska. I'll go back in a heartbeat.
And you
Yeah.
really and truly, you nailed it with the sense that you get so close. So that really the
Mhm.
best way to see Alaska is on a smaller ship.
Yes. Mhm.
When you go with the larger ones, they can't get into some of these places. And a lot of people trying to get in and off the ship at every place you go.
I
So
know.
to do it with a smaller ship like the Silversea ship, it really
Mhm.
is, um, it just makes the destination come more to life because you get a
Yes.
more intimate experience, and of course then you're on the ship with the incredible service
Mhm.
that they provide as well too. So
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely. And a lot of first time cruisers I noticed when I was on the ship,
Okay.
that had never cruised before, and all said the same thing. It's a destination that
Mhm.
really is well served by cruising. Certainly many people, I spoke to, we had dinner one night in Anchorage before we got on the ship, and there were many people there that had done the cruise a couple of years back, and now we're back in Alaska to go to Denali and to go and see
Mm.
more of the
More
state. So
exploring.
again,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think that's always the beauty of cruising. It
Yeah.
introduces us to
And
destinations.
I love that the cruise lines that you're going with, especially with Silversea, includes, pardon me, all the excursions.
Everything.
That's a
Yeah,
huge expense in Alaska, and
it
you want to
is.
experience it right, and it's perfect that you do it that way.
Exactly. And
Yes.
that's one of the key reasons why we do with every trip we do with Tauck. So, we may
Mhm.
not include every meal on a land journey or the gratuity, as I mentioned to the director, but always the excursions are included. And where we can provide choices, we do that. And I think that it just puts everybody, again, it's that peace of mind. When you've been doing it for 98 years, you kind of got a few things figured out,
You got it
right?
down pat. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're still evolving.
Mhm.
Again, one of the most amazing places in the world to go to is Antarctica. And of course, it's a very short window when you can really sail down there. So, kind of for us, it's mid-December, early December until February-ish that we run the itineraries again with Penant. Their Boreal. Class of ships are
Mhm.
designed for Antarctica, so they have icebreakers and they're well designed to handle the Drake Passage, which we all know can be the Drake Lake or the Drake
Yeah.
Shake. I think the true um, meaning really is that you might get a little bit of both, because
Mhm.
that's why everybody sails at that time of year, because it is summer, and so it is usually a little easier to navigate. I got a little bit of both, and you just take some gravel and
You go with
the
it.
beauty. Well, and what I absolutely loved was the day we went across from Ushuaia over was, I wasn't sure I would be, but I kind of didn't plan to leave. So I literally, I think I stayed in my jammies for most of the day, ordered in some room service, and all the lectures that they were doing, because they do a lot of them that day,
Mhm.
they're all on the television screen. So you could just sit there,
Perfect.
you didn't miss a thing.
Yeah.
And I ate what I felt like. And then by the afternoon, I felt well enough to get to
Right.
go out and,
Yeah, I
and,
actually have these seasick patches that go on the back of your ear, and they work beautifully.
do they?
And
Oh, good to
yeah, they
know.
take about an hour and a half to work, so
Okay.
preemptive this plan.
There you
But they
go.
work
We could
beautiful.
do a
And
commercial right about here.
I know, I'm sponsored by. Yeah.
Sponsored by, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did see lots of people with them. So for
Mhm.
me, I think I don't normally get seasick, but I
Well,
thought,
that's
oh,
good.
I'll just take a little bit and just sort of rest for the
Yeah.
morning. But by the afternoon, I was fine. And it
Wonderful.
is amazing. And when you get to see the penguins and you see the seals, and
Oh,
and then
so
you
worth it.
learn about, it's just such yeah, it is one of those places where, I mean, everybody on the trip, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity
Mhm.
if you get to go. And it is a part of the world that is definitely where you notice, the effects of climate change.
Yeah.
And we don't want to see it. We need to work. You come back I think, with a different philosophy about things.
You come
When
back
you
really enriched
place.
from where you've been, and you've just,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. Yes.
Exactly. And having listened to some of the historian chats that were on the ship, there is also history. I mean, there's been lots of people go down there and their stories. And so there's a lot more to it than the wildlife and the ice and the,
Yes.
the glaciers. So it's, yeah, it absolutely, if you can do it, I highly recommend it to everybody. But yeah, it is nice when everything is taken care of. And we spend a few nights in Buenos Aires, because if you're going to go that far, you might as well get to see that amazing
Yes.
city. And so we do that as well too. So it's a really yeah, and then down to Ushuaia to sail out of, which is
And
also
your
a pretty
flights
cool
are all
city.
included, like
Yeah,
everything's start to
everything,
finish. It's all
everything you
packaged.
see. Yeah. The
Love it.
only thing is there's probably the 1 or 2 meals in Buenos Aires that we don't include, but otherwise everybody, yeah, everything is done and taken care of. And yeah,
Great.
it's just,
I
yeah.
love that picture. That's so cute.
Right. And I mean, the blue-footed boobies are the coolest thing. Plus, it's a really fun word to say, no matter how old you are, to say, and everybody wants their photo taken with one.
Yeah.
And so we do we go to the Galapagos in a few ways. So this particular one is actually, I'll just flip the slide here for a second. This is the Isabella. So this is what I would say a true expedition ship, 40 guests at the most. When I sailed on her, we were 32, and the ship is nothing fancy. The food was great. Again, not gourmet deluxe, but it was excellent food. Most of the crew were Ecuadorians, so the ceviche was flowing. And if you love ceviche, there was lots of that. But there was other great meals, because I'm not a huge fan of it. And actually one day we could jump off the back of the ship if we wanted to, or off one of the lower decks in an area where the water was warmer, because we were there in January. So the parts of the water was a bit chilly. So this is the one that we do as a, I mean, it's not cruise only, because you do overnight in Guayaquil. And part of the reason why we stay in Guayaquil for this itinerary is that it is designed for people with a limited amount of time. So if you've got a little over a week, and with Guayaquil, you don't have the altitude change. So on our family journey, which I'll show you in a second, it's done a bit differently. So this is perfect. It's really a full cruising. So you get to go to more islands than on some itineraries. And as I said, it's really razor focused, spending time as much as time, and every island is different. People, I think, don't fully grasp that. One island has the red-footed boobies, one island has the Nazca boobies, and then you have the tortoises. So it is really, you want to make as much, if you're going to go, you might as well really try and see as much as you can. And so we also do it with Silversea, but it is packaged with Peru. So it's a week in Peru and then a week with Silversea. And then we also do with the Isabella as well, in combination with Peru. So there's lots of different ways to see it. If you're going to go that far, again, Machu Picchu and all of the wonderful thing is cool too. And then you and I have done presentations before, I think, where we focus mostly on family itineraries. So I probably mentioned this one, but again, this is a destination that I think is designed for families. Who doesn't want to go and see all these cool, it doesn't matter how old you are. So it's a really great family experience to be able to see it together, cross it off everybody's list. But again, some of them might want to go back because you cannot see everything. And this one, the cruising is a little bit shorter in a sense, but it is combined with Quito. So here we spend a couple of days, because you kind of need to get adjusted to the altitude. But it is a really fun place to start for kids. So that's why we do it a little bit differently. And again, it's not the Isabella. The ship is a little bit bigger. It has a pool, whereas the Isabella doesn't. So, but it's a sister ship, the Santa Cruz. Yeah. So, instead of maybe flopping on a beach for your winter vacation, why not do something absolutely spectacular? So,
and the memories you'll have, my goodness.
Right.
Wow.
And that's what we remember. We don't talk about gifts we got for Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. It's really about memories. So give everybody a gift this year and go to the Galapagos. And it really doesn't even matter what time of year you go, but obviously the family one is designed when kids are out of school. So
right. Yes.
yeah. It's very cool. So still cruising technically.
Mhm.
So we have a couple of itineraries that sail on the Nile. I'm just kind of keeping with a warm destination now that we've warmed up a
Yeah.
little bit. So here is our itinerary that is just in Egypt. So
Mhm.
the cruise then is 4 nights, and we use the Oberoi, which is a world famous hotel chain. They have two ships on the Nile, and we use both of them. So this one is 4 nights cruising on the Nile. The other itinerary that we do combines it with Jordan,
Mm.
and then it's a 3 night cruise. So it's just to allow time frame to do both countries.
Mhm.
Both amazing, both spectacular ways to see two incredible or one incredible. We have a private visit with in the, I believe it's open now, the new Egyptian Museum in
Mm.
Cairo. And then we also include, and something always to keep in mind, because most companies who go here sell it as an optional or an additional excursion, is to Abu Simbel. So
Mm.
we include it. We have a private flight back and forth so that everybody gets to really see and experience the destination the way it should be. So again, it's cruising still, but with
Fabulous.
some
Yeah.
land stays. Yeah. And
Beautiful.
there's one of the Oberoi ships there. So
Mhm.
beautiful ship, well outfitted, absolutely gorgeous. The
Mm.
food is amazing. The ship is spectacular, and it's a really great way to sail
Yeah.
on the Nile.
Amazing.
Okay, we're going to get colder again for a minute because these Christmas markets have just started.
They're a
Um,
big seller. Yeah, people love
yeah,
them.
they sold out this year, I think, for just about everybody. So definitely, if you are looking to go next year, and a little tip is that Christmas market cruising with Tauck is probably the most reasonably priced river cruise we do, because the nature of what we do isn't quite as many things.
Mhm.
And so it's a great value. Again, they're cruise only, so they're for a week, and we take you to Salzburg, which again, a lot of people will offer it as an additional cost, but we think that going to
Let's
Salzburg,
see.
I
Yeah.
mean, I did this. It is, you're singing the sound of music by the time you come back. Like,
Oh, I
it's
bet.
so much fun. And Vienna has, multiple markets, and then you have to buy the mug, and we give you mugs at markets. So, people are always buying suitcases
Yes,
at the end of this. But
understandable.
any,
Mhm.
yeah, any of the itineraries are spectacular. This is the one on the Danube. We have one on the Rhine. And then
Mhm.
this is one we came up with a couple of years ago. And I just think we sort of forget that also in Holland and Belgium, they also celebrate it with their wonderful markets. Again, a
Yeah.
little different spin on it. So if you've maybe done one of the other rivers in the past, this is a great
Try
way to
something
see.
new. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, they do a spectacular job. And yeah, if you've got some time, add on a couple of days in Amsterdam or go early in Brussels, whatever you want to do. But we'll be doing it as a 1 week
Mhm.
cruise. So yeah, and again, everything included, drinks, gratuities, the whole. The only thing you would add in is whatever shopping you do, which of course most people do. Um, and as I mentioned, I know that buying suitcases is a popular item in the gift shop on Christmas
Yes, I
markets.
know.
They stock up
Yeah.
extra. It was so funny. I talked to the lady who looks after a gift shop, and she said it's really the itinerary where people buy more suitcases than even on a regular one, which is
Mhm.
rather funny. And it's whether it's decorations or just the mugs. But and then you get home and you go, why do I have 25 mugs? But they're all fun and they're all
They all come
unique.
with a story.
They
A
do come
story
with
and
a
a memory.
story.
Absolutely.
Exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
So again, one of my favorite itineraries on the rivers is the Blue Danube for all the obvious reasons. 7 night sailing, in and out of Budapest and Regensburg. And then we include the 2 hotel nights in Prague, 2 nights in Budapest. And again, you can see Salzburg is there, but that day you actually get a choice. You can choose to go to Salzburg, but if you've been already,
Mhm.
I would highly recommend that everybody go to Český Krumlov, which is a beautiful, restored medieval town that was never bombed during the wars for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And absolutely a little hidden gem for many, many years. People now
Mhm.
have started to discover it, but it is absolutely incredible. It's just this beautiful little gem, sort of hidden there in the Czech Republic. And Prague, of course, we all know to be a beautiful city. This is the Strahov Monastery. So we do a private tour there where guests normally have to stand in that doorway behind a rope and are not allowed in. But because we're a small private group, they let us in. And this is
Mhm.
only half of what you actually get to see. There is
Mhm.
another part to the library that we don't show you because it's so cool. You feel
Yeah.
like you walked into a
What a
Harry Potter
surprise.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So absolutely beautiful. And as I said, we get in there exclusively to have really enjoy, to be able to take photos. And it's got lots of little hidden surprises that I won't tell you about. But
Yeah.
a great itinerary. And if you have been putting off going on the Danube, by all means, it really is still, I think, our number one seller that we do on any of our river cruises. This
Yeah.
is one of my favorite itineraries in France. We do a sailing on the Seine. We do a couple of itineraries here on the Rhone. And what I love about this itinerary is, again, if you've got a little more time, because the rest of them are usually just a little over a week. This one is 2 weeks. It includes, of course, 2 nights in Paris. It goes in both directions, and 2 nights in, I think it's in Cannes now. But with a choice, one day you can go to Monte Carlo, or you can go to St. Paul de Vence. It's a tough choice if you're a car nut. You might want to go to Monte Carlo, but St. Paul de Vence, if you Google it, is this beautiful little town up on the top of a hillside, and it is. It's anyway, it's spectacular,
Yeah.
spectacular. So again, you get different choices always on our river cruises and our small ship. We have sparkling events where we take you and wine and dine you at beautiful places all over the world. And here I will butcher the name of the chateau, so I won't try. But it's off the Saône, and I think that's another. Most people just sail on the Rhone, but we sail on the two rivers here. And the Saône is really just a little quieter, smaller, little more intimate villages. Lots of these beautiful chateaus, and it's absolutely an incredible night at a chateau that has been in the family for thousands of years. And we happened to be there when the Duke was in the house, and we got to, take photos and talk to him about his life. He's quite shy, but we must have all been asking the right questions, because he did come out and join us for a drink in the courtyard after, and to show us his car collection. So
Okay.
I can't promise that that'll always happen, but
You
you
never
do
know.
get to see it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful way to spend a gorgeous evening. And again, with lots of other fun things on
And
there
I love
too.
seeing all of the yellow with all the land parts that you do. And that's built because of your relationships, right? You're
Exactly,
able to get into
exactly.
places. Yeah, that's
And
great.
again, giving people the options to choose, because,
Mhm.
as so often happens with Europe, some people are of the mind, if it's another chateau or a palace or cathedral, I don't want to do it anymore. But we recognize that. And so, again, including things like car museums. I know we did one, I think, where we focused on the Danube and the Rhine, where you can go to the Porsche Museum, which is in Stuttgart, or
Mhm.
the BMW World, which is, outside of
Mhm.
Munich. So again, I think we recognize and know, again, from doing it over and over,
Yeah.
and then even just some of the Holocaust history. So we know that not everybody wants to do that potentially, but giving you those opportunities to be able to pick and choose based on your own interests.
Mhm.
And that's always, and then of course there's food and wine. Always, somewhere,
You
and
can't
more
do
active,
without
right?
that.
Where you can cycle or,
Mhm.
do other active hikes and things. So again, we do try to give people enough options without overwhelming you, but again, to really give you that spectacular, and then to get you off the ship for dining. And that is so important, because it's great that we include meals on the ship and their food is great, but when you're in France, you want to be able to sit at these chateaus and dine the way the royals and
Mhm.
whatever. And just again, it gives you an extra added flavor
Yeah.
of an area that you are kind of, just sort of floating on through. So
Mhm.
it's, yeah, exactly. That's the great thing to point out about the yellow and then the
Yeah.
red on the small ship routes. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So
Mhm.
I threw this slide in at the end just to sort of remind everybody that, what we're finding more and more and more, especially since COVID, is that people are combining particularly our 1 week land tours with a cruise, and sometimes not even necessarily where the cruise is docking. So, I mean, this one is in and out of Glasgow and Edinburgh, but we're
Mhm.
finding that people are booking a Mediterranean cruise, but I really want to see more of Scotland or Ireland, our 1 week Ireland tour. So again, I just wanted to remind people that if you're doing a cruise, have a look at a lot of our 1 week or longer, depending on how much time you have, to really maximize places that you cannot always get to easily from a cruise
Yeah.
ship. So even our Africa journeys, I notice, are being booked up by more and more
Mhm.
people sailing in that area, because a lot of these cruise lines will offer maybe a 3-day safari. don't get a safari in 3 days. You really need to spend a full week at least going and really being able to experience more of Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, wherever you pick. But again, just a reminder, this is a fabulous one in Scotland. We have a great one as well too. And as I said, the brochure is full of them, and I know you can share all that with
Yes,
with all of your
absolutely.
guests. But yeah, just to keep in mind that that is definitely the biggest growing trend that we've noticed with people going forward, because they're either using up credits on their cruise ships or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to keep that theme going of including so much with everything we do.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I hate to say that it is coming to an end,
Yes.
but I will leave you with this beautiful photo of the lighthouse. And I think it's been an absolute pleasure working with you, and I hope that everyone has tuned into our shared stories that we've done
Yes,
together over the last couple of years. And
absolutely.
yeah,
Oh,
and
it's been wonderful. Yes. Thank
yeah,
you.
I've
And thank
enjoyed
you for meeting with me continually and being there for all of my listeners and for myself. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm gonna
Oh,
miss you
great. Well, it's
terribly,
been
but
fun.
I'm
It's
sure
been
we'll keep
fun.
in contact and
I'm sure we will, the industry. And although I retire, I'm sure I'll still pop in from time to time to do things, because it's once
absolutely.
it's in your blood, it's hard for all of us to leave it.
Absolutely.
So
That's travel.
yeah.
Yep.
So thank you so much.
Yes. Well, thank you. And I hope everybody has a great week. We'll see you guys next week. Goodbye. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's cruise chat with Charmaine from Tauck. This is the last time I'm going to be meeting with her, and I'm going to miss her. She was a joy to work with, and hopefully that the person who's taking over her role will enjoy meeting with us as well. If the next week I'm going to be meeting with Explorer Journeys, and we are going to be discussing some of their entertainment, and it's going to be really cool. So make sure you subscribe to our channel. I try and put out an episode every single Thursday. Sometimes things happen and it's a little bit later, but I do try for every Thursday. But if you're subscribed, you'll get that notification. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.